Hello and welcome to Practice Growth Strategies. I have a power-packed interview for you today. My guest is Mr. Garrett Gunderson of Freedom Fast Track. He's a New York Times best-selling author, and we are honored to have him on the show today. Welcome, Garrett. How are you doing?
Hey, Tabor, how you doing, man? I'm doing fantastic. Life is really good right now. So love what I'm doing and what I'm sharing. That always makes it better, you know?
That does make it better. And I know you're a crazy busy person, so I want to respect your time and everybody else's on this podcast. And so if you don't mind, I'll jump into that first question. To me, you're a big name in chiropractic. I'd be surprised if people haven't heard of you. But if you can share with our guests a little bit more about you, who you are, and how you got where you are today.
So I started my first business at age 15. It was a car detailing business, and I won $5,000 with it for being the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. And unlike other teenagers, I wanted to invest that money. And that led me down a path of asking a lot of questions, becoming even more confused, getting a lot of bad advice, a lot of broken advice, which I think a lot of people experience in the financial world, but also letting me see what the upper echelon and the affluent got to do, which was have a family services firm if they were worth $50 million or more. So it opened up my mind to what's possible and what I wanted to create for entrepreneurs. And then I met Dr. Patrick Gentempo, and he brought me out to Total Solutions a week and a half later, took my wife, completely transformed our life from a health standpoint because we started to get our son under certain care, and a lot of chiropractors banded around us, brought the right resources because he was, really struggling, got kicked out of a Montessori school for not engaging, had to be in a social group, really starting to digress and have difficulty. And all of a sudden, this kind of caring community came together and made the right introductions for the right chiropractors here in Utah, to the right people from a nutrition standpoint, to the people that were in Dallas that did specific type of adjustments, to, you name it. We've spent a fortune on the kid, but a life is worth a lot, and our kid's life is worth a ton, and it's cool to watch him be able to become more of who he originally was and have better health. So thank God we kind of found chiropractic, and then I decided I want to help chiropractors better their finances so that it doesn't have to be miracle stories, or they don't go out of business, or they don't struggle financially and have stress that limits them from really truly transforming the health of their communities. It requires a lot of wherewithal when it comes to business and finance, and when they have that, they can make a much deeper and much more meaningful impact, and money doesn't constrain them from really being leaders in their community, because we know that pharmaceuticals and that the traditional allopathic model is not leading to more health. So what are we going to do about it? Well, I think it begins with financial health and allowing these chiropractors to have a better vision. So it's kind of, I was an accidental tourist here. I didn't mean to say, oh, this is a great profession to service financially. It was more like I got so much service, so much value, became friends with so many of them, got such good results, and enjoyed my life and spending time with them. I like, working with people that are kind of evolved with their enterprises, that want to say, I'm not just here to make money. I want to make money, but I also want to make an impact. I also want to make a difference. And so that's what led me here, and that's why I'm here today.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad that path led you to chiropractic because the value that you bring to chiropractic is huge. I know you practice what you preach in both finances and in health, but going back to finances, and you are somewhat the guru in that area with your book, Killing Sacred Cows. But there are a lot of people who study finances. There's probably people who graduate from college and have these degrees in finance. What is it? Because I know your philosophy is different than the average financial person. What is it that makes you different, and how did you develop that specific philosophy?
Well, in 1998, I was a normal product peddler in the financial industry. I sold life insurance, I sold mutual funds, and I was seen as pretty intelligent from the mutual fund standpoint, because the 98, with the exception of October, was a pretty good year for the market. 99 was an excellent year for the market. So my clients thought, wow, this is awesome. I was actually putting them at more risk, cashing out bonds, cashing out, CDs and savings accounts, and putting it into the market. And even though it went up pretty rapidly for the first year and a half, then it started to go down in the year 2000. And I was confronted with this situation. Do I tell them the same rhetoric and things that are being, propagated throughout the financial industry of saying the market's on sale, you're in it for the long haul, now's the time to put even more money in, and all this kind of stuff? And I couldn't stomach that. I couldn't look them in the eye And it was a pivotal moment when I went to all of my clients and said, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I think you should get your money out of the market, either find a different financial person or wait for me to figure out something better. And that was like the start of something really big for me, because it gave me a lot of courage. And I loved the reception that I got for just real honesty and real, candor with these clients. And all of them but one stayed with me. And I went through a journey of starting to really question everything. I'd been taught a certain way in the textbooks in school by the financial institutions, which were more about how to build a relationship than it was to get performance with investments. So now all of a sudden, I was starting to say, well, what areas are more certain? What things can we do that would add more value to a client's life, and what areas are neglected? And I noticed almost no financial people talking about how to improve a credit score, how to negotiate the best interest rates, or how to structure your loans, or how to save on taxes, not just by filing with the CPA, but even what it meant to have maybe a tax attorney, or finding ways that they didn't compound their taxes as they tried to grow their investments. And then I started to look at what are all the other areas that aren't handled. A lot of people didn't update their wills and trusts, and a lot of people hadn't looked at their insurances since they bought their car or since they bought their home. And a lot of it was designed imperfectly, improperly, and inefficiently. And so I became fascinated with how can people generate more cash flow without having to work harder, without having to take more risk, without having to put their money in the market that they don't know or understand. And it was just becoming an annoyance, because as far as I asked so many questions, I had this little notebook I always carried around. I always write questions. I remember flying to New York, a meeting with a couple firms there, and they would just put me in touch with whoever designed certain things or knew it. And these guys were real honest. They weren't salespeople. So I got to see a look at what was kind of inside information, not illegal inside information like stock trading, but like what was really happening with these plans. What were the real impact of the fees? And I just become fascinated. And for 2 straight years, from the time I was 21 to 23, I spent a week a month attending symposiums, shadowing the top advisors, going to events. And I could have been a brain surgeon for cheaper than what I spent over those 2 years. But it was amazing what I learned, because I never wanted to have to look another person in the eye and go, hey, the market's going down and I don't know why, and just wait it out. I couldn't stomach that again. I didn't want to face it, because it was like a lot of family and friends that I had to do that with. And fortunately, they gave me a chance to make it up. And as you know, someone you're really close to, Dr. Chris Zano, I just interviewed him for 45 minutes, and they said, we've been with you for over 4 years, and we've never had to have that meeting. It's like, hey, bad news, tough news, or oh, this didn't work out, because we're dealing with certainty. And certainty has an economic value. If we can create more certainty in a chiropractor's life, they could be more focused on their business. They could swing for the fences in their business. If they're not derailed or distracted with underperforming assets or investments, or finances don't feel complex or they don't feel overwhelming, all of a sudden they have more energy to show up. And I want to help them with that elegance, with that simplicity, with that clarity and that confidence. Because if you have peace of mind around your financial position, you could be profound and powerful in your practice.
Man, this topic is important. I mean, it's relevant right now with who knows what the stock markets are going to do. They're up and they're down at the time of this interview. But as a chiropractor,
I got an email from a dentist actually that said, from the time we had our first meeting and talked about doing your program till today, my 401k has already lost more than the tuition of your program. So. And I told him, first thing was like, I'm concerned. You don't have what's called a trailing stop loss on any of your investments. And so if the market goes down, you're just going to ride that wave down. But I thought that was interesting. I just checked that email like 7 minutes before we got on this. And I'm going, hey, this is money that people can't get back. Every time you overpay tax and there's a certain amount of time that expires, that money's gone forever. Every time you overpay interest, that money's gone forever. I want to put that money back into a chiropractor's life and then say, what can you do with that? Is it a trip that will allow you to enjoy life? Is it having the right associate? Is it having the right CA? Is it really getting a better office than you're currently in, or expanding that office? Is it putting some money into marketing? Is it hiring a coach? I mean, what is it? Is it going to getting the right software like with Genesis to support you? Is it going to the Zano experience? I mean, if you had those dollars, you could end up with a much more productive and peaceful life.
See, and that's scary I know as myself being a chiropractor, that's scary not knowing or even knowing that there are a few things out there that could just totally ruin me and break me. And even though I'm, chasing my passion and trying to help more people, and then, but there's some missing links that, if we don't know about, could totally demolish a business. And so moving into my next question that moves us in nicely is that, let's say, I'm a chiropractor in front of you, and I know that I know you've coached a lot of chiropractors. I know that some you've seen probably didn't take your advice, probably didn't do very well. Some you've seen, implement some strategies that you've helped them be very successful. What would you say to that chiropractor in front of you right now? What would be your biggest recommendations for them if they want to protect their finances, if they want to grow and be able to serve people for the rest of their career?
Well, you've got to have courage, first of all. Sometimes it's just tough to look at your finances, because I think a lot of chiropractors are on this treadmill, and I'm just going to keep working harder to earn more money, or I got to earn more money. And that treadmill continues to get more and more difficult and more steep if you don't handle your finances. So you've got to look, and I'm not telling anyone to budget. My new book's called Budgeting Sucks. I actually believe in mindful cash management. So I'm not telling you to name every dollar and have a little place that you stash it in a jar or on a software program so you know exactly what you spend on entertainment. No, I want you to make sure that you earn more than you spend and that you know where you're trending. And really, it comes down to this. We could do easy, hard, or hard, easy. You all know patients that take the easy, hard route. It's easy not to engage in care. It's easy not to come in to one of the dinner talks or to go to a doctor's report and just to say, well, I'll get to that later. It'll be okay, because they don't wake up in severe pain or they don't know exactly what's happening in their health. That's easy to do, but it gets hard later when all of a sudden that high blood pressure catches up to them, when all of a sudden that subluxation that really cost them because they didn't address it, because of their lifestyle choices, because of the way they view the world and the emotional stress that they face, or even chemically what they're dealing with food and the processed food and all that kind of stuff. We know that easy, hard leads to disease. It leads to people being destroyed as far as from a health perspective and their energy being lost. It's hard sometimes to say, I'm going to confront this. I don't care what my insurance company is going to offer. I'm going to write the check right now to get my health in order, because I know investing in myself will lead to more in the future. And I'm going to go get adjusted, even if that's 3 times a week. I'm going to change some of my lifestyle over time, even if that's a little bit hard to give up certain sugars or certain addictions that we might have. That's hard, easy, but hard, easy is the only way that we get to that path where we have that freedom, where we have that enjoyment, where we can have fulfillment, where we can have health and wealth. So you got to take the hard, easy path and confront your finances and really look and say, first of all, do you have an infrastructure to capture your wealth? So just setting up an account that you can pay money into and you pay yourself first, number one. Number two, how do you take that and create wealth with the wealth that you capture? Create automatic savings, but create intentional investing. So that's what we call wealth creation accounts. And we usually do that with a strategy called cash flow banking. So you can take a savings account that's earning less than 1% taxable and move it into an account that's earning 4 or 5% tax favored. And then beyond that, really start to manage. Is there loans that you can pay off? What's the most efficient and effective method? That's exactly what we help people address with our cash flow index. And then once that's addressed, then really start to say, hey, does it make sense to be putting money into retirement plans if you don't know how you're going to get to that money, what the fees are on that money, how it works? It's just simply becoming empowered in your finances and your wealth, just like you are in your health. It's the same principles. If you want to have good wealth, you've got to take responsibility. No one else can do it for you. If someone wants to have good health, they've got to do the same. If you want to have good health, you've got to invest in it. You've got to invest time. You've got to invest money. If you want good wealth, you've got to invest time and money in it. You are your greatest asset. We know that in health. We know that in wealth. Are you protecting it? Are you growing it? And are you making sure that you know what you're doing financially? And the good news, Tabor, is we don't need to know about foreign exchange trading. We don't need to know about options trading. We don't need to know about margin accounts. You don't even have to know about real estate if that's not where your passion lies. You don't need to know about the stock market or the bond market. What everyone has to deal with, though, is the basic infrastructure and the baseline. We have to know where our money's going, be able to see that at least on a monthly basis, understand if we have the right loan structure, understand if we've got the best interest rates, make sure that we're not overpaying on our taxes, and understand the overall risk management strategy with our insurances so we're not overpaying there or overly exposed. And that's 80% of what finance is about. But most people just think it's more difficult than that, or it's got to be technical, or economic or dry or difficult or about taking money out of their life or business. No, it's not about taking out money from your life or business. It's about being responsible with the money that comes in so that you can keep more of the money that you make.
Man, I'm so glad you shared that with us, because those are the step-by-step things that a chiropractor needs to do right now to be successful in their finances. But as you know, we hear those things and they sound really good. And so tell us, what are you doing to help chiropractors implement this right now? And if I'm looking for help to do what you just said, how do I find it?
Right. People can go to wealthfactory.com and they're going to see, they can click recover cash flow or generate cash flow. There's a green button on the site and we've got a report. How do you generate more cash flow in your life without having to save or sacrifice or delay? That's a free resource. We want to empower them and give them education. Our goal is to get 1 million entrepreneurs to economic independence. That's my lifetime goal. Within the next 5 years, we want 100,000 people, and I want every chiropractor possible to set up a wealth capture account. Go to your bank, get a checking account separate from your business account and your personal checking so that you can have money that doesn't get commingled or that doesn't get spent, that's really designed for you to capture wealth along the way. Richest Man in Babylon, one of the most simple, profound books, talks about paying yourself first. This account allows you to pay yourself first. If you don't have this account, it will get gobbled up because businesses have an insatiable appetite and people tend to just spend money that's sitting around stagnant. Then our next thing is we want 10,000 people by January 1st, 2020 to eliminate the necessity to have to borrow from the bank and instead earn interest rather than pay interest. So they buck the system, build their own banking system through cash flow banking. I then want to make sure that every single year, 3,500 people are empowered with our curriculum for wealth. That is our system that takes people step by step how to create economic independence in a video series. And I also interview everyone in a financial nerd network, is what I call it. These people that I've gone out and figured out who they are and what they're passionate about, and just pulled out and extracted from them the very best they have to offer that lets people know how to save tax, improve cash flow, set up their corporations, have an estate plan. It's 14 different categories. So I want to get 3,500 people a year engaged in that in order to start the path and start the process. And then I want to turn around and get 250 people to set up their wealth architecture every single year. 250 people. I'd love if all 250 were chiropractors, but these are business owners who are saying, hey, you now know you have the right healthy financial baseline and you have individual support and proactive support from us to get it done. And then 125 people a year, I want them to get the same level of service that people get at family banking or at family services firm worth 50 million or more. But they don't have to be worth any net worth. We're just concerned with, are they coachable? Do they have a good income? Do they have enough going on that we could comprehensively help them? And 125 people a year that would have never had that level of attention, never had that service otherwise, completely dial in their finances to the point like, Dr. Zano and Brian Capper and all these people that we've worked with absolutely have been able to do. That's our mission. That's what we're up to. I get up, I'm excited to be part of that. I'm excited to get 1 million people to economic independence. I'm excited to educate people in the right way. I'm excited for people to get their wealth capture account because it's almost magical when you have that at how much easier finance becomes, how much more wealth is created without just having to work harder, because hard work with the wrong financial philosophy equals bankruptcy. It equals devastating results. It equals limitation. It's just like someone who tries to, work out more in order to be healthy. Well, if you're not getting adjusted, if you're not eating properly, and if you don't have the right mindset, or if you have toxins in your body because of, the processed foods or metals or chemicals, I don't care how hard you work out, it's just not going to get you there. So hard work is only part of the equation. The right philosophy is part of the equation. And the thing is, I've been looking, who else out there can we collaborate with? Who else can offer these services? And there's people that have pieces of it, but I've dedicated my life to building the comprehensive system for this, for bringing those individuals in, for vetting those people so that people can get the results. And we do it in a way that is authentic. Instead of saying, oh, we just get paid by the institution, so you don't really know what we get paid. People write us a check. And Tabor, sometimes that's the harder way, because sometimes people just don't want to think about it, and yeah, that just automatically comes out. But when we find out the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of opportunity cost and lost money that happens with that, even though it's easier, I feel like we're like the chiropractors. We're bucking the system. We're saying, hey, even if insurance won't cover it, we're here to make sure that you get the right thing financially, just like you guys are out there getting the right thing for people from a health standpoint. And you know what? If it means a little bit extra effort, if it means it takes a little bit longer, so be it. I want to transform the financial industry, that they at least have to start addressing it from this standpoint and understand that each individual has a sole purpose. And you just can't give tactical advice without understanding who that individual is, what they're up to, and everything should be about protecting, preserving, and growing that individual and their abilities, not taking them away from their money, not separating themselves and putting themselves at risk.
Right on, man. Dude, you are like chiropractors in that your philosophy is you're after the truth. You know, you're not about tradition. You're not about the making money, but about finding the truth, and that's what chiropractic is about. And I want to thank you for your time today. I love your goals. I love your vision. I love your passion. I love what you do. You're doing big things, and I'm proud to call you friend. And so thank you for being on this show. It sounds like the next step for everybody is to go to wealthfactory.com, dive into the free resources there. But Garrett, if you want to give us just the last thing, if people want to reach out for you, is that the very best thing to do? If they have questions, if they want to get associated with Freedom Fast Track, what do you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I would go grab that cash flow guide. 7 areas for businesses to improve their cash flow that is completely different than what everyone's talking about in the media. It's going to ease pain. It's going to increase wellness. And it's going to empower them to understand and check in what they're doing versus what it's talking about there. Are they maximizing? Are they optimizing? Are they getting where they truly want to go? And how can they eliminate risk and eliminate if a surprise comes up, how can they be prepared that doesn't hurt them, their business, or impact that they bring to the community? So thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me share my passion. And, you know, hopefully the people that are viewing this go out there and just take any one action. I don't care if it's setting up a wealth capture account, going and downloading the guide, going back and talking to your existing financial team more proactively now that you've taken notes on this and kind of bring those questions to them. Whatever it takes for you to go out there and be a chiropractor that can influence your community at a higher level. I know having your money right will help you. If your money isn't right, it's hard to join the fight, you know?
Amen to that. And we will have wealthfactory.com and all Garrett's information in the show notes. Thank you again for your time, Garrett. We love you. Have a great day.
Thanks, man.